Hi, I'm Gerardo. I'm here with the Mass readings for Wednesday, December 6, 2017, Wednesday of the first week of Advent, from the Lectionary 177. The first reading is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 25, verses 6 to 10. On this mountain the Lord of hosts will provide for all peoples a feast of rich food and choice wines, juicy, rich food and pure choice wines. On this mountain he will destroy the veil that veils all peoples, the web that is woven over all nations. He will destroy death forever. The Lord God will wipe away the tears from all faces. The reproach of his people he will remove from the whole earth, for the Lord has spoken. On that day it will be said, Behold, our God, to whom we looked to save us. This is the Lord, for whom we looked. Let us rejoice and be glad that he has saved us. For the hand of the Lord will rest on this mountain. The word of the Lord. The responsorial psalm. Today's responsorial psalm is Psalm 23. The response is, I shall live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. I shall live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In verdant pastures he gives me repose. Beside restful waters he leads me. He refreshes my soul. I shall live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. He guides me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil, for you are at my side. With your rod and your staff that give me courage, I shall live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. You spread the table before me in the sight of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. I shall live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. Only goodness and kindness follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for years to come. I shall live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. Today's Gospel is the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 15, verses 29 to 37. At that time, Jesus walked by the Sea of Galilee, went up on the mountain and sat down there. Great crowds came to him, having with them the lame, the blind, the deformed, the mute, and many others. They placed them at his feet, and he cured them. The crowds were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the deformed made whole, the lame walking, and the blind able to see. And they glorified the God of Israel. Jesus summoned his disciples and said, My heart is moved with pity for the crowd, for they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, for fear they may collapse on the way. The disciples said to him, Where could we ever get enough bread in this deserted place to satisfy such a crowd? Jesus said to them, How many loaves do you have? 7, they replied, and a few fish. He ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, gave thanks, broke the loaves, and gave them to the disciples, who in turn gave them to the crowds. They all ate and were satisfied. They picked up the fragments left over, 7 baskets full. The Gospel of the Lord. The reflection. The readings are about the abundance that comes from God. This is what salvation means, the fulfilling of all our needs, spiritual, emotional, social, and physical. In the Gospel, full of trust and confidence, people bring their lame, the crippled, the blind, and dumb. Jesus healed them all, and the crowds were amazed. There then comes a scene which is kind of a parable of what Jesus stands for: the compassion of God and his desire that the needs of all be supplied. They have been with him for 3 days and are hungry. They must be fed. There's not much to feed them with: 7 loaves of bread and a few fish. It is enough for Jesus. And again, people who have dedicated themselves to caring for the hungry and homeless have found what they need turning up on their doorstep. At the end, 7, a perfect number, baskets are still left uneaten. All this symbolizes the care God takes of his people. And yet, where is it happening in so many parts of the world today? There's a crucial element in today's gospel we cannot overlook. It was not Jesus, but his disciples who distributed the food. In our world, there is an abundance. Food production outpaces population growth. If there is hunger, malnutrition, and other unmet needs, it is because we, God's stewards, are failing in our task of distribution. If there is hunger and suffering and death, it is not the work of God. It is our failure to work. Here are details that touch me, Lord. You felt compassion which carries a weight of meaning. It was more than a warm feeling. It meant that you did something about it. Save me from warm feelings that are a substitute for effective action. You did not fetch the goodies from the sky like a magician. You started with what the apostles already had at hand: 7 loaves and a few small fish. Teach me, Lord, to use everything I am given. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day.